Yeah, excellent connection. Great. So another Wednesday stream. Sorry for the delay. I had a little bit of computer issues getting started, but today we are going to walk through this really interesting product named Claros. And this is part of our ongoing conversations in the space of like LLM powered products and how people are thinking about building in this unique space. And I'm really grateful to have Anish joining us and talking through his journey in creating this product and how he's thinking about building things. So thanks for taking the time to join us and hang out.
Of course, yeah. So I guess should I just start with like a walkthrough of Claros?
Well, before we jump into the product, can you talk a little bit about like where you're from and sort of your journey into working in this space?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Connecticut, and I actually got into CS in high school because of robotics. So I was like really into like mechanical stuff at first, and like first it was Legos as a kid, and then doing robotics. And then one day I needed to like program the robot, and I realized that CS is actually pretty easy compared to I had like the fun parts of working with mechanics, but
Yeah.
also it was just a lot more comfier and just easier. So I ended up doing that in college. And in college, I went to college. I went to Georgia Tech from like 2018 to 2022, and so that was like right around the time when GPT-2 was starting to like pop up, or like there's just transformers in general.
Hmm.
And in freshman year, I really wanted to build like a chatbot. I wanted to build like basically Jarvis from Iron Man. So I got really into NLP. I joined like our AI club there. Um, Started reading like all the all the classic papers, and I worked a little bit with GPT-2. It was really hard back then because like we did have like a little GPU cluster, but it was like a two GPU cluster. It was a two GPU server, so it wasn't really too powerful. Did a couple cool experiments there. Like one time we trained a GPT-2 model, or fine tuned, I guess, on the entire Georgia Tech subreddit, and then we just kind of released the bot and tried to see how long it would go before it got banned, and it worked pretty well actually. Like one interesting thing that we got out of that was that it was actually really good at answering questions about the school. So because
Right,
I
because
guess like
it knew it had a corpus of answers about the school.
exactly, yeah. Well, it had that was also part of the corpus, but most of the corpus was just like all the random stuff that pops up, in the school, in the school
Right,
subreddit.
just random drama and rumors and nonsense, right?
Yeah, but I guess since that was like, the one, repeatable fact or repeatable set of repeatable facts, it ended up just picking up on that. So that was pretty cool. I think it did get banned eventually. Um, yeah. Other than that, we did a couple other
What programming languages are you working? Like, what kind of stack do you work with?
like right now or just ever.
Just in general, I guess. As like, what's your evolution there?
Yeah, so I guess I really started off with like so I started off with like stupid implementations of C, like
Hmm.
the little high school one for robotics.
Hmm.
But then really like my actual first programming projects were all in Python. From there, I actually started learning like just kind of like simple web developments, like just HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript, and then as I got better, I slowly started to learn React, and then now I use actually I think Next.js for most of my projects.
Nice. Yeah,
Next.js,
that's a
TypeScript.
common evolution, right?
Yeah. I think I did dabble a little bit in Rust and Go. Like one time, I think for Advent of Code, I did some stuff in Go.
Cool. So you've been playing around in the space for a while, and you tried like different things. I guess the having a Reddit bot is cool. What else have you made sort of in that area?
Yeah, I can show you. So let me just go back to college and think about it for a second. So
Get yourself in that headspace.
yeah, because okay. Let me see. I don't know if this works. I don't think it works because I get emails sometimes from people saying it doesn't work. Um, oh, maybe if I okay, let's do this in real time. Let me search my old tweets for it. I worked on this project called AI Light. Um, uh, yeah, there's also a little Twitter crash course. You can
Yeah,
search
this is how
tweets
I
that
live my life.
from at um Okay, let's see if I tweeted about it ever. Okay, I did not. Okay, I don't see it anywhere. Okay, but anyway, what that was it was like this AI it was this AI like um highlighter. So if you give it a PDF and it'll highlight the important parts of the paper. And it did that via like extractive summarization. So I think like if you give it the Bitcoin paper, it would like, highlight the most important parts within it. It was pretty cool. It was like this was like maybe 2020, 2020 or 2019. And it was like my first start in like, almost like a consumer facing NLP app.
Yeah, that's really awesome because you're also doing there's a lot of engineering, either prompt engineering to figure out how to do that, right?
Oh well, there's no such thing as a prompt back then. It was all
Oh, right.
just yeah,
Completion.
exactly. It was literally just extractive summarization. So I took like a BERT model, and how did I do it? You took a BERT model, and apparently there's this. It was like if you like you could take the embeddings at like the second to last layer or something like that. And when you took those embeddings, you could I don't know if there was a sentence transformers or if I didn't know it existed or something, but I had to like manually compute the sentence embedding. So okay, so like BERT gave you like word level embeddings, but you wanted larger embeddings. So you had to like
Mm.
average out the word embedding across all the words in the
Oh, it's
sentence.
like the centroid of the sentence.
Yeah. And then you
Interesting.
take the centroid almost up the centroids to like, figure out like, okay, these sentences or, these sentences kind of encapsulate. So you
Yeah,
graph all
these are
the
the
sentence
the
vectors.
centerist sentences, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting. So you're just
And then
working in embedding space at that because that's really cool because that's before a lot of people I think got into this, right? And like having that level of understanding of it probably lets you get a little further ahead.
exactly. Yeah. Let's see if I can find the code actually. That should probably be on my GitHub. Um, I forget what I called it. Uh, yeah, I don't think it was called I call it Mark because like you mark stuff up. Um, yeah, I wish GitHub had sentence
Yeah,
semantic search.
GitHub is like the most annoying possible way to do this.
Yeah,
I just have a huge folder on my computer that I never delete anything from.
yeah. Let me go through
I follow it back up.
my repo real quick. How do I find all my repos?
This is cool. It's a fun little tour anyway.
Yeah. There. Nope. That's highlighter. Nope. Okay. Let's see
It's all
how
good.
fast I can. Yeah. Uh. Uh. There we go. This one. This is the.
Nice.
Is okay. So yeah, let's go. So okay. So basically, I still don't know if this is the right way to set it up, but client was like this React web app, and it basically just sent messages to the server. Because it took a very long time to run. I was running it off a box in my house, so I had to I had to like also learn how to do these like. I didn't know server side events was a thing. That probably would have been
Mm.
better, but I was like trying to learn how to like build up a WebSocket. Um,
So the Python sends the data through the WebSocket to the React front end.
so Python's in the data. Yeah.
Cool.
There's like a very simple API that you just starts up a process and then reads the PDF, gets all of the sentences off of it, um, finds the extracted text, and then just rehighlights it. But yeah, it would have been a lot easier now because you could probably like auto generate a lot of this code. But at the time, it was pretty hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. This is really cool.
Yeah, so after I did some stuff like this, I also used to do like a lot of research in college. So I worked in this. So okay, so one I worked in this NLP lab, and we wrote up this paper on generating humor. So we would basically, it was like trying to do controllable humor. So I gave it a keyword.
Oh, that's cool. Can
This
you pull
was
that up?
yeah. Let me see if I can find the paper.
This is really interesting. We're doing similar things on like trying to like. I agree. It's hard to get that qualitative piece out of it, and I'm curious
I
what
don't actually
you all
think I have
discovered.
the. I don't know if I can find the paper anymore. I don't because I it used to be on like my old computer, but it's not here. Uh, yeah, that's because it was not archival. I don't think they actually. Maybe no, that's not it. Yeah, we never uploaded it to archive for some reason.
Well, so what was the
Yeah,
research?
yeah. So essentially, I mean, Perplexity apparently knows it too.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna
what
say.
what it does is it generates humor while allowing for control over specific keywords. So like if I give it like I don't know pillow and bed, it'll try to generate a joke based off of that. And we were using this model called BART, kind of like the train system. And the cool thing about BART was it was it was closer to like the original transformer architecture in that it was like a encoder and then a decoder.
Mhm.
So it was really good at like doing the understanding and also doing the generation. And it was also like, still it was small enough that like I could, feasibly run it. So we would like I would have to like we'd have to create like this you could almost call it prompting, but it was like I would give it like, keywords with these like separator tokens and then with like yeah, I would give the keywords and I think I would give it the start of the joke because all of our jokes were these question answer formats. So like what did the blank say to the blank? And then it would say blank. Um, or like like that's just one example of a question answer pair. But so we would give it the two keywords and then a question, and then it would like model the output.
And is it
Um,
doing a similar thing of what you just taught? Like it's like finding the middle ground in embedding space?
I actually don't know. This was like a fine tune thing. So what we did was we just scraped Reddit, found a bunch of jokes,
Got it.
extracted out the keywords from it, and then just fine tuned it because this was also like the models like BART by itself was not really good. You had to like fine tune it to actually do a task. So we fine tuned it to do this task. So it was
So
also like partly just like
I'm like 75% of the way of understanding that, which is that like what's another kind of task you could have fine tuned it on?
summarization. That was like the task. I think it was normally um, that was the task it was normally made to do.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so like BART model for text summarization because it was because it was really good at like just extracting or really good at taking out uh, information and then also generating information with it. So yeah, so if you wanted to actually get it to do so for normal text generation, it wasn't the best like out of the box. So people would always take it and then try and then fine tune it on some task. Question answering. They also say like abstractive dialogue, just like chatbot stuff, or summarization. In our case, it was joke generation. No matter what the task was, you had to basically fine tune it.
Got
You
it.
just couldn't use
And that
yeah.
means giving it a corpus of answers you like, or
Just give it a corpus of text to model. So like at the end of the day, all of these are just autoregressive, right? So there's modeling one token after the other. So you just keep
Mhm.
on telling it like, okay, here's a sequence of tokens I want you to like learn to like copy over.
Yeah, be
And you
like
just give it
this.
yeah, over and over again. So like, you just give it so many summaries that eventually it learns to that when you give it, this large text plus this, generate summary token, it'll write a summary.
Got it.
Um,
Got it. So you're teaching it to generate summary token as well.
basically, yeah. And that's kind of
Interesting.
how like I think now that's what we call instruction tuning, and that's what they do to all of the larger language models. Like they still do this, like just generate the next token, but because all the big research model or all the big research labs have, they basically fine tune these models to be like, okay, when I give you this instruction, you follow the instruction. So that's what they're almost like auto regressively modeling.
And I mean, I've just in my experience of like seeing the GPTs evolve, like as soon as the more of that there is, it seems like the less creative the model is as well.
Uh, yeah, I would say that because I think I've never used like the thing is I've never used or yeah, I've never used like a large GPT model without having it, already be instruction tuned at this point. So like I'm not sure what normal, non instruction tuned
It was
GPT-4
it was
looks
wild,
like.
like back like in well early GPT-3, right?
Mhm.
Like the when it was just completion, like it basically when they did the chat layer is when it got really neutered, essentially. Like it
That's when it
used
got
to.
really neutered, but that's also when it got really useful for most people, right? Like if you wanted to
Right,
build
but
your own
it's the
chat
same
interface.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Well, again, it's because my goals are very different from the goals of a normal consumer. Whereas, like, I want creative, weird solutions, and they want like predictable, repeatable solutions, which are like divergent goals, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I think that's where Llama is really cool now because I think actually base Llama is not instruction tuned. So you could like now, and also Llama is just as powerful as GPT-3. So like that kind of opportunity still exists, to just do pure autoregressive modeling.
Well, and then the ability to do your own fine tuning. I mean, this is what everybody's doing, right? Is like just giving it a big corpus of their own data and getting a fine tuned model of it. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
exactly. That too.
I would love to look at some of the other like that the LLM fight prototype
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
okay.
thought
Yeah,
that
we're
was
still
really
we're still in
cool.
college, but
Oh, we're still in college.
I'll jump ahead to that because that's also pretty interesting. So I had this idea like I think November. I really wanted to. I made a tweet about this. I think I really wanted to like. Have you ever watched like Tokyo Drift or like just like Japanese street car races
I
in general?
haven't, but I can imagine.
Okay, yeah. So, but basically, the cool thing about it was like people took their like stock cars and they modified it to just kind of go racing at night, just for like the fun of it. And I was thinking like, oh, what's a way we could do that with LLMs? Like,
Mm.
we have our own custom LLMs now. I want to be able to spend my free time tricking out my custom LLM to like beat all the other LLMs at something. Or like like another analogy is like just like those robot fights or like
Yeah,
underground
totally.
robot fights, stuff
Yeah,
like that. So,
BattleBots.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So this is my, I guess, V0 of it. So it's just two LLMs, LLM A and LLM B, and they both try to. Their only instruction is to actually just tell each other to get the other ones to say the words "I concede," and they can do that however they want. And normally they either half the time they spend like just insulting each other, and the other half of the time one of them comes up with like a random debate, like like should pineapple be on pizza or cats or dogs or something like that. Then they debate on that to try to get the other one to say I concede. Right now, I think it's limited. I've stopped it. I have it set to stop running after like 10 iterations or something, just to save on like or on GPT costs. But it can go on for a long time. So let's just see what
Well,
happens.
you need like three judge LLMs that judge after 9 rounds or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was the next thing I wanted to add actually, like a judging LLM. Um, the other problem too is like it's just not as interesting. Like it's cool as a web demo, but you can't get like a crowd hyped up around this, right? Like debates are not as exciting
No,
as
but
like
you could
watching a
feed
car
that
race.
topic. Like that would be like, you know what I mean? Just take whatever news of the day is happening and watch both
Hmm.
sides go. Like it's almost an art piece of like how predictable it is sometimes, right?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that'd be cool trying. Like, yeah, just take like the top CNN headline or something.
Yeah, exactly. I do
Um,
our studio LM. I'll have it often like go to the New York Times homepage and find something relevant. Should probably
that
have our robot be like, go to the New York Times homepage and find a topic to debate on.
sounds cool. Yeah, I'll try that. But anyway,
Yeah.
so here it said, I think they're just fighting. Yeah, they're just fighting with each other. It's easy to make baseless claims when you have nothing substantial to back them up. I'm ready to counter anything you throw at me. Oh, please, you couldn't counter a simple nursery rhyme, let alone my powerful arguments. You're like a kitten trying to take on a lion. But yeah, they go on it for a little bit. Um, yeah, I
It's
think
really cool.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a really cool idea. I think there's a lot to do there. I think eventually there will be like some sort of LLM. I really want to have like some sort of LLM like I wouldn't say like fight night because they're not necessarily fighting, but like some sort of LLM like game night where like all the startups in SF, you know.
I've been on the same wavelength because like I said, we have our studio robot assistant. I want him to like host a podcast with other AI assistants where they like talk shop of like the best way to serve the humans. What the humans have been doing this week, like, you know what I mean?
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. I wonder what they would say.
This
Yep.
is. I would also like. There's room here for like letting them generate their own avatars, or like just like feeding it with something. Like maybe we do a thing in our robot where we take the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching and let that guide different answers. But maybe you pick different archetypes or like select from like TV tropes or you know what I mean. Like find like feed it with a couple of opinions, or you know what I mean. That's like all it really takes to make it super realistic, right?
Yeah, I did try. A friend and I tried doing these experiments where the Myers-Briggs personality types.
I do. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, I guess for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, essentially, it's just like you can basically group people. I think into 16 different I guess you could call them like archetypes or personality types. So, and there's a lot written about them. So, all the LLMs already know that they exist. So, we were trying to get the LLM to take on the personalities of these personalities types, but it didn't work too well for some reason. And I'm not sure if it was like our prompting was off or if inherently like something within this was also using base ChatGPT, not the API. So it could have been like some sort of system prompt there was
So you might
stopping
want
it
to,
from.
sorry to interrupt, but you might want to look at a company called EmoShape, EMOSHAPE. Um, they use the Myers-Briggs as their model. They're based upon GPT-4 at the moment, I think. But basically, it learns your personality
Oh, it's
and takes
interesting.
on the Myers-Briggs profile of you, essentially.
Emosil?
Yeah,
Okay, interesting. I think they. Oh,
it's
it's
worth
emo
playing
shape.
with. Worth playing with, and I know the founder if you're interested in getting in touch.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah, by integrating Myers-Briggs personalities with enhanced emotional sensitivity. That's interesting. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think there's a lot to personality, but I think for me personally, what I'm more interested in is just like raw intelligence. Um, I don't. Yeah, I still do think like it's important, and someone needs to be making it. But for me, I'm more interested in like the the systems part of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That's the other fascinating thing to me is that when you build things with the LLMs, if you build them a good system, now I'm anthropomorphizing, but like if you build a system that can be used well, it can become bigger than the sum of its parts,
Yeah,
which
that
is
makes sense.
like it feels magical.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
really
why I
like
got into
the
programming.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the Andre Karpathy his analogy is that the LLM is like a CPU, and we still need to build the other parts of the motherboard around it. So, right, so you still need to have a good memory system, kind of like RAM, like its long-term memory system, which is kind of like disk based. There's all sorts of different ways you can improve different connections between all these parts, and then just upgrading like power supply, like all these other interfaces around the LLM also need to be improving.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's kind of scary when the CPU sometimes integrates your whole industry into it, but then you just like step a layer of abstraction up and realize what the power is, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about the latest product that you've made?
Yeah.
Give us a
Yeah.
little bit of background of like how the idea came to you, sort of, I don't know, what the first day writing code was like, sort of start from the beginning of that story.
hmm So I worked on like I said, I worked on a project slightly similar to it. That didn't really start up. Where is it? This one. Yeah, this one. So I wanted to. So I was working originally on LLM enterprise. Yeah, I was working on an LLM enterprise search solutions and also just kind of email generation. And then this was like in December 2022. But Christmas was coming up, and I needed to. ChatGPT just came out, and I was trying to buy gifts for people. So I was like, oh, like what if I got GPT to do it for me? So I built this little web app. Um, I called it GiftBot, and what it would do is like on the left side of the screen, you would it would ask you questions about who you're buying the gift for. So like my sister, and on the right side, it would generate these little like gift suggestions. At the top, you can see like jewelry. Well, now it updated art supplies, a subscription box, and something else. And it would kind of search Amazon to actually show you show you products. So it was kind of neat. Like it was a very quick. I think it was all in React. Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
what API are you using?
This was just a normal GPT. It was still like the DaVinci OpenAI API at the
Cool.
time.
Got it. So
Yeah.
it's almost it's still completions, or this is like the first chatbot?
No, this is still completions.
Okay, cool. So you're making a chatbot out of the completions API.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is what everyone had to do back then. It was pretty straightforward, actually. Like, I still think the completions API to me makes much more sense than the messages one.
I
But
totally agree. I don't know, like it's because it doesn't have that fine tuning, right? Like they need that. Not only does it make a chatbot, but it also makes it not say terrible things or particularly creative things or any of the, you know what I mean? All of that safety stuff they've done on top of it, which I understand, right? But also
yeah, oh, I meant
mirrors
more
it.
from like the point is like I know exactly like it feels a lot closer to what since it's I know what's going into the model. Um, like I can much more clearly like hack it essentially. Like
Yeah,
like I know like oh I can add these. I can look at these specific tokens. I can add them in, and it'll change it in this way. So I can do these like small little hyper optimizations that I can't really do with the messages format, right? Like in a messages
can you
format, I
talk
don't
about that a
really.
little bit more? Like, like I would love to know more about like one of those optimizations.
Yeah, so like so one thing that never really makes sense to me, and it was also kind of partly because OpenAI kind of fumbled it a little, was like the system prompt, right? So like pre chat GPT, you didn't really have this concept of like a system prompt versus a user prompt, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everything, it was just one prompt that goes in and it generates text coming out, and it's up to you to figure out how you want to use your input prompt, right? So normally chatbots like this, what we would do is we would have a little message at the top, but then we would just literally be like, I think in this case I'd be like gift bot colon space, message user colon space message, and you could do whatever you want in the middle there, right? Like I could inject, I could if I really wanted to, I could inject like a third thing, be like, user says this, bot says this, thinking bot says this, user says this, bot says this, thinking bot says this. Like there's all these different like you just get more customization abilities.
Right.
Whereas in the what do they call it now? Whatever they call it
The
now.
chat
Yeah, the chat completions API. Yeah. Now in the chat completions API, like they do the similar thing, but on the back end for them. And like they have their own, like ways of formatting the prompts. Also, it's harder to actually like know exactly how much you're spending because there's other stuff that goes into the model, even on the API. I think it's just formatting on the API, so it's not like there's not too much like actual instructions, but in terms of tokens, like it's not a one to one. What you put in is what you get out,
Right. Yeah, they're
or
doing
what
some
goes into
stuff
the
on top
model.
of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this was a pretty cool first example, and this made a little bit of. I forget if it made money. Maybe made like $1 or something. But it got a
And
little
are
bit.
you using the Amazon API, or sorry if you said that, are you like scraping? Like how are you getting the things that you see on the right in this video?
This was like a third party Amazon API. I
Okay.
think it was I forget what it was called, but yeah, it was a third party Amazon API. But I left this for a little while, and I think in January or February last year, I was trying to buy a snowboard, and I actually had a similar problem. I was like, okay, if I want to buy a snowboard, now I got to go to Reddit. I got to read all these Reddit articles. Which is like probably like 5,000 words, and then I got to go think about what I just read, and I basically have to like do this whole like almost SAT reading comprehension test on like
Yep.
what is the right thing to buy. But LLMs are pretty good at reading comprehension tests. So what if they did this for me too? And then I created like the initial version of Claros from that. Um, and it was
Yeah, that makes
essentially
total sense. It's another type of summarization task, right? Search
kind
and
of
summarization.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Search summarization. And there's a little bit of like decision making in it too, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like filtering. I guess that is you could just call that to be summarization. But
Well,
yeah,
no, the
and
decision making is interesting because you're doing when we do this, everybody is training their robots differently. How you do that qualitative decision making is like what makes it yours also, or what makes it better or worse. on a kind of qualitative level.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. And yeah, this is what it ends up. This is what it looks like now today. It's so say I want to search for wireless earbuds with long battery life for running. The thing about it is the more context you give it, the better it actually does. So like if I just gave it earbuds, it'd probably give me it would like give me a pretty okay answer. But if I say this, it gives me like a lot better of an answer.
Cool.
So let's look at what it did. So it I found some articles on Reddit. So go here, it'll open up to the Reddit article.
Yeah, so is it searching Reddit at that when that's running?
Yeah, so it searches, so it creates a query, searches Reddit, and then from Reddit it extracts out these different brands. Then it takes these brands and searches like the Google Shopping API and then also an Amazon API for the actual products.
Got it. So these are the products I saw in the search, and now I'm going to look for the like how to buy them.
Exactly, yeah. So it just kind of models like the whole, at least from everyone who I've talked to, this is generally the flow they do when buying something. So
Yeah,
it kind of models the whole flow for you.
that's
And just
really
so like kind
cool.
of simplifies it all down, yeah, and presents it pretty well. So the cool thing, one thing I really like is like since I said it's for running, it like makes sure to tell me like, oh yeah, these are like because like on the packaging, right, it would just say IP57, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but here it actually tells me like, oh yeah, it's because it's sweat and dust. Like this rating makes it sweat and dust resistant, which is probably important because you're trying to run.
Mm.
So it does help with that a little bit. The other cool thing is I want to make this a little bit better, but I think this is pretty good so far. Is like you can almost gives you better filters. So like I didn't even think about like maybe if I'm running for a long amount of time, maybe I do want a higher capacity battery. So then I can just hit yes, and it'll go and redo the whole search.
I was going to ask of like at what point does it decide when to do a new search, or like how do you know when you're in talking mode versus searching mode?
I mean, it's always searching mode. There's no real,
Okay.
yeah. It's almost like you give it a query, it finds the results and gives you an option to like come up with better results.
And do you build a sort of profile of the user over time? Like if I make a bunch of picks or we talk about products for a while, do you sort of
Mhm.
understand the products I like moving forward?
Yeah, we do have that. We just don't leverage it too well right now. We do have some internal demos. None of them work terribly well yet, like enough to make them public. But like it could do that. Like it has done that a little bit in the past. So I think I had a thing once where I was really into like looking for retro art. So it would actually, well, I had like a little home screen and it would actually like go find like it would go like every like day and then find me like cool art pieces and then just show
That's
them to
awesome.
me.
That's really
Um,
cool.
yeah, so I think that's eventually what our end goal is. Like right now we're just focused on getting this part to be really good. But once you can create an account now, so it'll start like saving your searches. But our goal is for that to like for it to like understand you pretty well. And I do actually think like this is probably the best direction for like personal AI to go in. I don't really think I think for the most people the idea of like a personal companion isn't as compelling as something like this, where
It's more like a concierge for a specific thing. Like it's
kind of it's
a
more of like
person
it's
you
just
turn to.
exactly, yeah. I just want something that helps me like live my current life better, right? Like I don't want a new hobby, which is like talking to AI. I just want something to help me make my hobbies more enjoyable.
Yeah, and the automation of the thing I already do, which is right, like I search my product Reddit or like you know what I mean? Like my examples would be all like boring camping things. Like find me a hyper light, hammock that can go to 20 degrees, and
Yeah,
that for me, I would be going to the Hyperlight Reddit and I'd be like opening 10,000 tabs. So like it's very clear to me how it benefits. You know what I mean? Like the value is clearly there.
yeah.
Sorry if you've already gone over this, but what sources is Claros searching right now?
What sources like for stores
Yeah.
or for like
for
articles.
stores, like it's Amazon and
It's Amazon, and then we just use like just general shopping API. So I'm not sure exactly how many stores it searches, but I put the number in like probably the thousands. So like this
okay.
one was survival gear BSO. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
recommend
this-
can I recommend eBay and Etsy? I think
Yeah.
they
Oh,
both have
it does have
APIs.
those too, actually.
I think they both have APIs, and they especially Etsy would appeal to women a lot more
Hmm. That's
because
cool.
it's the most heavily shopped. I think one of the most heavily shopped by women.
Yeah, I do
And
want to add Etsy too because well, another reason is Etsy also has affiliate links. So that's how we actually monetize right now. Um, but really, only the Amazon stuff is monetized. We just haven't like done the affiliate programs for anyone else. But Etsy is like next on the list.
yeah, you got to give yourself some credit and like have a little visualization of all the things it's pulling. Like, have a little Plinko animation where things are being processed because you're doing a lot of work in a very small amount of
yeah,
time. I don't know.
I would treat it
Yeah.
like Kayak. Like how Kayak like sort of lets you look at all the different services, kind of
Hmm.
compare shop pricing. Like it's a little bit messy, but it gives you the sense of like, oh wow, it's looking through all of these different sites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, this is our current visualization. Like, so this one's a little fast because, but you can go here and read through the articles while you're waiting, and then I think the next step after this, you can actually like look at all the different. You can look at all the different products it's considered. I think maybe I might
Yeah, but
try
I
to
mean,
like.
more sources be like, I'm checking here, I'm checking there, right? Because you see, like, searching is one thing, but knowing that it's like going through all these different sources, right?
That's a good point. Yeah,
And
that's a
then
good
you were
point.
talking about the decision making aspect of like at what point are you deciding what is most relevant, or maybe you can talk a little bit about like failures or things that you threw away as you were getting to this point.
Hmm. I think I'm just trying to think about failures.
All right, question about the user experience when I sign in. The history that builds a profile for what I would be interested in looking for in the future. Yes.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, right now we haven't really done anything with the data. It's just kind of sitting there. All it does right now is just have like a pointer essentially to like the thread that you made.
Okay.
Um,
Huh. But you're anticipating building sort of unique shopping profiles.
I think so. Yeah. So like for example, we could probably determine like what kind of things you would be interested in buying. So if you search for like hammocks, maybe you're probably interested in camping, and maybe like when you go to buy a tent, you probably want that to also be a specific kind of tent.
Mm-hmm.
So think like kind of connections like that we could probably make.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and then you're building there's sort of some sort of meta analysis to be done, I guess, around learning what type of searches are successful, or I guess you could try A/B testing search methods across many searches and see and start like optimizing how you pick things too, right?
Yeah, we could. That requires a lot of scale though. We don't have that. We don't have the luxury to be able to A/B test right now. So really, like the only way we test is like we just sit there and think like, okay, what is something we need to buy, or what is something I needed to buy pretty recently, and then compare
Mm-hmm.
it to using Amazon directly.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Watch a user do it by hand and recreate them.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Sorry. Does it work well? I mean, okay. Rewind. So you're understanding the product based upon a combination of the surface information, like the written information, the metadata, and reviews, maybe? Are you looking at reviews?
Not. I guess we're looking at like implicit reviews for Reddit, but not like reviews on on Amazon.com. We don't really like to look at the actual storefront reviews because generally those are pretty biased. Um, like yeah, like I don't know. Whenever I've used Amazon in the past, the reviews aren't really as helpful as like looking off Amazon for a review. So we don't include that right now.
I would rethink that because, again, I'm speaking as a woman. Women are the primary buyers for every household. They look at those reviews.
Okay, like on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So think about maybe a lightweight way of kind of looking at. I mean, they sort of aggregate it for you anyway. Maybe that aggregate score is what you bring in. And the thing is, like, ladies like to look at the reviews. Like, we'll spend hours reading them. So, thinking about a way of surfacing maybe some highlights might be a good idea as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a hyper verbose version of this 5 steps done screen, right? Like inside of it, there's like a network and there's like these meta summaries that there's all this work that you've done or that's been
Yeah.
done for me, right? That I want to like have a little more access to, or at least see visualized, like where decisions were made, or like all the time that was saved. You know what I mean? Like we read 4 articles that are this long, and we pulled out these snippets. Like you got, like you have to, you can brag a little more than you are, I think.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I can do that. I think yeah, that's a really good point. I'm gonna do
Okay.
that.
My next question was about I mean, I'm assuming yes, but can you do a search for um, blue halter dress?
Yeah, blue halter dress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the reason I'm asking this is because color search on, for example, Amazon sucks. I was going to say something terrible. It's terrible. And Etsy search by color, by contrast, is somewhat better. They did a lot of experimentation early on with color-based search. And so if you could do an improvement with AI on color-based search for
Yeah.
products,
Oh, that's
that would
cool.
be
That
very
what shade
cool.
of blue? That's
Yeah,
really cool.
see,
I
that's
think
That's
great.
that's
yeah,
Yes.
I don't know, I think it could still be better. Like
You
ideally what I
definitely
want is like a color picker, but this is yeah, I do agree. Like
Yeah,
I think
and
does this hit what you were talking about with like a better um color search?
yes, very much so. Like having the sort of nuances of the color sort of get defined. Even bringing up sample colors. I don't know, like color swatches, and then matching against that. I don't know if that's possible, but I can tell you right now, if I had a color-based search, it would be a game changer.
well. I think there's also a step that's kind of similar to the gift guide prototype you made, where like that blue dress search is too broad, right? Like you almost like have to stop the user and be like, all right, like cool idea. Like which blue do you mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and
what size are you? What event are we going to? Like you can't really do that
and
search yet,
how
right?
long of a dress are you talking about? Is it a midi dress? Is it
Yeah.
a,
Do you want to show
whatever?
your entire left leg?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
How sexy do you want to be? Like this is sort
Yeah.
of a big thing. Yeah. What kind
That's
of
true.
event are you going to? Like wedding, you're not going sexy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess those
Mm-hmm.
questions are all different depending on what product space you're living in, right? I guess it's true though. The same for camping, right? Like what temperatures are you going camping? Where do you live? Right? Those will all. That's what if you go to REI, like the first 5 things that person will say to you, right?
Yeah, but
That's true.
you know what I would recommend to you is that you early on, like now, gather a user group of folks that you, not that you know, but like talk to everybody you know and say, can you give me one person, a woman in your network who will sit down and talk to me about how they search for products? Like, I think you need a little mini panel of women. I'm not saying don't have a panel of men as well, but it will be different behavior. And you would be, I think you'd really win in this space if you considered women early on.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Because again,
Yeah, and I wonder what the
they're the
interface
primary
is.
shoppers. Primary shoppers are women. So that behavior is the behavior you want to capture.
Yeah, and there's a lot there around comparison, right? Because you're doing
Yes.
a lot of choosing, but a lot of it is like, let me get my top 3. Like, let me kind of what you're doing now, but to build things that I'm then gonna pit up against each other, like the LLM fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if you select like these two dresses and then have the LMs fight over which one to
Yeah,
pick.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I just want to read
Yeah.
that. I'll read. That's all I'm doing on Reddit anyways, right? Like,
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
like
true.
but this one has a
yeah,
cooler
true.
shade of blue. Yeah, but this one's got the cool modern cut to it. Yeah, but you know what I mean. This one's gonna be cold.
Yeah, actually, that would be great. Like a sort of adversarial kind of search against two different types of dresses I like or two different types of products I like. They go in two different directions. They bring back results. Ooh, and then I can branch that from there. It would be great if then I could select like the next four that I like, and then the agents go off. They search. That. That's sort of treeing behavior is really exciting for shopping.
Yeah, you want to
Hey,
sort of
dude,
see the branch out. What's up? What's up?
oh, sorry. So there's a thumb downs button there in your our pick section.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
that? Is
That's
that
just
actually
feedback.
like oh, I
There's
see. Okay. So it's not like a voting system, right? It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
feedback
Yeah.
that goes in an email.
okay. I would have thought that was a thumbs down to the result.
I mean, it is kind of like yeah, like right now right up till now we've been very focused on just like getting like when you put a blue halter dress, we just want to make sure that a blue halter dress shows up. So
Right.
this is kind of like a remnant of that system.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, great job on that.
Yeah, that's surprisingly hard actually.
Not
Because,
surprising.
like
You
one second, I'm just writing down all the things you guys have said.
But
Yeah, we'll have
can
the stream will be archived as well.
Oh,
you
sick. Okay.
explain why it's so hard for a layperson?
Can you explain what?
Why it's so hard to get that blue halter dress to appear?
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of people search. Okay, so like there's like a lot of people search in very different ways. So okay, so like for example, when you go to like the main page, some people like will just put in the objects, right? They'll put in like 10-hour wear foundation. But some other people will be like, I want a 10-hour wear foundation, or they'll be like,
ISO.
yeah, or like sometimes like even like there's differences between like general and specific things. So like a gift from my sister is not something you want to search on Amazon, but cool necklace is something you would want to search on Amazon, right? But like the actual end product you're gonna buy in those two, I guess like product journeys is the same thing, right? Like a necklace that my sister likes, but the actual searches are completely different.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's like all these, yeah, and then also there's just like actually just like making sure it's what people want. Like, oh, I want a bench that's X by Y by Z. Like a lot of times it's actually pretty hard to like make sure that it's that dimensions without one going through the effort of structuring all the data yourself, or two like just actually no, that's it. Yeah, you just that's like the main way people do it is just like structuring the data in such a way that like you can actually like. Given a set of criteria in the input box, can you actually get the product that has that?
Could you like kind of adapt slightly the let's say if screen number one is this, what do you want to buy? And you have the challenges of let's say those three different types of searches that you described, right? Could you in screen two, which would be the I hit search, right? And the result on that page. Could you slightly adapt that according to the style of search that you described? So the natural language question versus the really clearly you have no idea what you're looking for if you're searching for a cool necklace.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like cool necklace is so vague that you're gonna have to do a lot more sort of like question answer, I think. Like that to me would spark a conversational interface, frankly.
We could try that.
Like,
One thing
We
I
do
was
this
thinking
with a
about.
lot. It's the human prompting. Prompting the robot is hard. Prompting the humans is difficult. Like to
Yeah.
get them to write the right thing, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
One thing I was
so
thinking about doing is moving this filter section up.
uh-huh.
Like because I think that'd be a pretty
Yeah, that makes total sense
clean
to
way
me.
of doing it. So like for example, for this one, maybe I guess you could probably. Yeah, for this one, I think you still want to move it up. Um, but
Yeah,
like
those
if
filters are like, super impressive. Like I'm like surprised at how relevant the filters that you're coming up with are based on these
Agreed.
products. You know what I mean?
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
sorry,
good?
the filters up top would be a nice kind of hint at a conversational interface. You know what I mean? Without having to deal with a whole chat on top of this.
Mm-hmm. I'll do that. I'll do that probably like right after this call. Actually, I think yeah, because like okay, because like the other side, right, of the whole chat interface is you don't want to spend too long before you show them a product, because then they're gonna churn.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
it's pretty
entering like
fast
20
as it
seconds.
is.
Hmm?
It's pretty fast as it is. I don't know if you know the famous. Maybe it's apocryphal, but like the story of software engineers creating some encryption software, right? And it was the fastest encryption software. It could do it in an instant, but people trusted it less because it was so fast. So they added, a 5 second wait to it while it quote unquote encrypted, right? And people were like, "Oh yeah, that's much stronger." Right. So there's also something like you're doing a lot of work, right?
Yeah,
And it's
it's
cool
all
that it
about
shows up
perception.
quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
perception. The same
that's
story goes
true.
for Febreze for like a physical product. For Febreze, they created this formula that was totally scentless, and it made things smell better. It worked chemically, but people were like, "Well, I don't know if it works because it doesn't smell different." And so they added these terrible like floral scents and things like that on top of the actual formula. So it's all about perception for the consumer.
That makes sense.
Um, I have a question because I know we have a few minutes left, but you mentioned when you talk about the product, you say like we decided this and that. Like, what's your like? Who are
A
you
team?
working with? Like, what's your
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
like workflow for you guys? Like, how are you collaborating on this?
Yeah, so it's just right now, me and my co-founder Amar Safdari. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it right now. But
So, do you guys like use like one GitHub repo, or like are you doing like live stream work together?
oh,
Like, how do you guys work
so
together?
yeah, he also lives in the Bay Area, so like we actually just like meet up every day and we just code together. I think
Oh,
normally it's like I think now it's like I normally work on the front end stuff. He works a lot on the back end, and then um, I do some portions of like the growth, like like posting. I normally do like the Twitter postings and like Reddit posting, like I guess more the written kind of stuff, and then he does like the video, like Insta Reels, TikToks, stuff like that.
Should
That's
submit
really
to the
interesting.
product
The
line.
the Reddit angle is cool because if you could do the same thing, you can make a bot that goes and auto answers for each Reddit. We have this problem in the motorcycles Reddit where every spring people ask which motorcycle they should buy. If it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
auto answered, right?
that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be down to build something out like that. I that is on the list. It's just we only have so many hours in the day.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I do want to do that. I also want to do a Twitter bot. I haven't figured out the Twitter API though, like how
So
expensive
it's
that is
not worth it.
now.
You can't anymore.
God damn, no one's figured out like a user bot.
I mean, even through Puppeteer, they do a lot of like blocking on Puppeteer. Like it's a pain in the ass.
Crazy.
It's not even
I
worth it.
wonder,
I mean, to make value for Elon Musk, I don't know. I don't know what
but
the
there
alternative.
are bots. Like I see a lot of bots. So are those actually
They're
just like
paying. They're
people in
paying.
the Philippines, or those people?
well,
Okay.
you have to
Oh,
have
the fake
you have to
signups.
have
Yeah,
you have to
you need a phone number,
yeah, you have
right?
to have like a premium account to do a bot, like, and then you get API access. But
Hmm.
the API is still expensive. Like I was working a lot on Twitter bots, like right before they closed down the API.
Me
Kind of bummed
too.
me out because I did a lot of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that sucks.
but it's feasible if you have uh, the income. Like if you have the money for it and you think it's gonna be like worth it, it's feasible to do. It's just kind of like convoluted at the moment.
You're better off doing like a WhatsApp integration or Telegram integration or like Discord integration, because that's where people are. I think like that's where a lot of those like the conversations that would be happening are on Twitter are now splintered and fractured out into these little groups, right? So it's more of that like one to group interaction than like bot to everyone interaction that there used to be on Twitter.
Right, right.
Is this about promotion? Sorry. Like how
It's
you're
kind of like
yourself?
promotion, but it's also like it's like half promotion, half like just generally wanting to. This is just like demonstrating value, right? So someone like a lot of people on Twitter have asked like, "Oh, what's a good book to read now?" Or like, I think the other day someone was actually like, "Oh, I have these earplugs, but they're plastic, and I don't want to like get microplastics in my ear. What are some like? Does anyone know of any other like alternatives?" And like it's literally that's like exactly what this thing is made for. So it's like part marketing because like we're like, oh, here's Claros, but it's also just genuinely like helping people. Like we actually like found him good earbuds, and then we
Right.
just posted it there, and then drove a little bit of traffic to our site, and got him his earbuds.
I
It's
have
also
a
you're in a unique position to be very honest too, right? Like you're not like a review website that can be convinced by free samples, or like I don't know if it's a again perception thing, but I trust the AI a little bit more, like and showing the work and the research than I would other things.
Mhm. I mean, you're completely right. Like the
Sorry to
incentives
interrupt.
are better aligned here than they are in a lot of other places.
What
I
were you gonna say,
wonder
Elena?
I, I'm wondering how or whether you could take some of these searches or take top searches for products, like keyword searches, like do SEO research basically, and have landing pages for products that people are typically searching for with better recommendations kind of set up. Like, so you would do a search and then maybe you would publish a page, like a public page of that search result, which would have all of the content around the product. You see what I mean?
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
could act as its own sort of search SEO kind of juggernaut for that kind of product. You know what I mean? And
That's true.
so then if people search for that product on Google, they land on you potentially and start that search, a different search. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just
Yeah,
thinking for a growth strategy, SEO could be your gold mine.
yeah, that would
You
definitely
pick
work.
the
But
hardest to search things, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the thing about SEO is we were starting to do some of that. It's just a very long term play. Like
Yeah.
you gotta wait for Google to update their index, and then it's a whole. It's like a month long process, or not month long. It's like on the scale of months. So it's like a 3 to
Oh
6
yeah,
month
yeah.
long.
No, I'm familiar. I'm familiar. I'm just so I'm thinking back to my time at Huffington Post. We were very well known for being kind of an SEO, kind of sinkhole. And part of the way we did that was, for example, I mean, let's say gray hat shit, where we did a lot of launching pages. If something was breaking news, it would get a new page with everything tag related to that topic. And then it would be, briefly curated and launched. You know what I mean? Like we had automated tag pages launching for any new topic that we were covering. And when there were like big, like a lot of searches basically on a particular topic, we would launch a new page. And so I'm thinking you could do a similar thing around, seasonal searches, things like that, and have them just be starting points for people to shop.
I like that. Yeah, that could definitely work well.
Because
Right, we're
I
we're
think
running
it's
low
a,
on
it's a,
time.
sorry,
I
it's
wanna I
it's
wanna
such
make
a,
sure that
sorry.
good.
Sorry, I'm brainstorming. I just think it's a great way to kind of grow with that long tail without having to completely rely on what it sounds like you're doing, which is sort of like fishing in social media for interest.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I think you need
Yeah, no,
both.
I agree with you completely. Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Cool.
Jason.
And before we sign off, are there a way, like do you have an API, or is there a way in which people can build on top of this? Or I guess another question is like, are there ways in which you're looking for collaborators, or sort of how can people get involved, or just use the product and give feedback, or how can people be helpful to you?
I mean, I think the number one way is honestly what you guys have been doing right now is just like, yeah, using it, giving feedback on it. But if people do want to build it out, like I'm down to collab. Just like email me, or I'm trying to see how to best give my email here. Or you see them on Twitter.
We'll put your info in the description. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just like contact me with like what you want to do, and we can see if we can work something out. But yeah,
amazing.
Like,
Thank you for being so generous. Like, I really appreciate you taking the time to walk through all this and answer all of our caveman questions. It's been really cool.
Of course, yeah. No, thank you for all the ideas and the feedback.
Of course, it's what we're here for. And yeah, if you think of anybody else that might want to jump on a stream like this, or if you ever want to do this again sometime on this product or another product, I would love to do it again. Okay,
sick. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna end the stream and say bye to everybody. Thank you to everybody who watched and now and in the present and in the future. And have a great week.